Welcome. Welcome to Hired Ministry. As you know, this is our platform, a self promoting platform where we receive individuals or companies that come to us and we get to introduce them to you. We see messages, we receive the messages that they bring to us, and that message we extend it to our network and we share the information. That's what Hired Ministry is. And today, I have a special guest. Another show, another special guest. And tonight, my special guest is actually a man who is operating in a sector that's, I'll say it's everybody wanna be into it. We all wanna know something about it, but do we really know much about it? That's the reason why I wanted to bring today on this show Mr. Tiyou, who is the CEO of a company called Renewables in Africa. So I bring him to the show, and him and I, we're just gonna have a conversation like we do, and get to know a little bit more about him and also about his company and how he started, how he got into it. So help me out to welcome my guest tonight, Mr. Tiyou, who is the CEO of Renewables in Africa. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hey, Kakombe, how are you? Yeah?
It is a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here at Hire Ministry, right? I'm hoping that after that I'm going to be hired by you.
you see, that's the reason why we created this platform. Is we want, at the end of what we do, we want people to be hired.
Okay, no problem. That's
whether you introducing your business or we coming to you, somebody need to be hired.
Yeah, I definitely need to be hired by more clients. So if you're listening to me, so just after that, reach out to me. I just want to make sure that we do business together.
We're gonna make sure that everyone reach out to you. So excellent. For the people that are following us tonight, can you introduce yourself so they get to know a little bit more about yourself?
Excellent. So my name is Tony Tiyou, founder and CEO of a company called Renewables in Africa, which you say Kakombe, which is a clean energy company. And what we do, a virtual media platform, we all about raising awareness about renewables energy in Africa and across the world. And we do that by making sure that we're helping our clients, businesses, to definitely raise awareness about their product and services. And there's three things that we're giving them: more visibility. From that visibility, help them to derive the leads. From those leads, making the sales. And the more sales they can make, the more they can serve the industry and they can grow. So that's what we're all about.
Beautiful. Visibility, leads, and sales. That's what we're going to be talking about. But before we get there, let's dig a little bit more about Tony. Tony, how did you get into this business and how did you start?
Oh, interesting question.
Yes.
Interesting question. Yeah. So I was going to say, I was asked to be hired by somebody like you. So no, I'm just joking. Well, the story, it came about more than 10 years ago. Okay. So I was an automotive engineer and I attended a conference called the Electrification of Africa, which is a beautiful conference, really amazing speakers, although I can't remember their name, but
the Electrification of Africa.
Yeah, so that was the conference. And there's one thing that really struck my mind at that conference and literally changed both my life and my career. Wow. Is that satellite image of the NASA showing the distribution of power across the globe. And that image is quite famous now, right? So, or infamous. It depends which side you want to look at it.
Yeah.
So, but essentially, when I saw that, I realized, how much of a problem it was, for Africa, and it got me angry, upset. I must admit, but I decided that, as opposed to just being upset, I wanted to be part of, bringing a solution. So essentially what we're talking about here, we know that the continent needs more power, more electricity, more light. And there was a question of which light are you going to bring? Is that the dirty one or the clean one?
The clean one.
Obviously, looking at the name of my company, I think everybody understands which one I decided to go. So that's really where the trigger came. I didn't go into business directly because obviously I was coming completely from another industry. So I had to sort of, like say, make my way there, working from other people, figuring out a way to get into the industry. And long story short, so I ended up starting the company full time 7 years ago, and that's what I'm running today.
So 7 years ago, after attending a conference, Lighting Africa, you know, change your life, change your career. You were like, okay, I needed to do something. And you decided that you had to not just build a company, but educate yourself and transition from the engineering to owning the company. Is that?
Yeah, well, because I know everybody likes a good story, right? But everybody has been into entrepreneurship. Even if you spend few days, weeks there, you will understand that it's almost never as straightforward as you would think. Yeah. Definitely. So you need to make your way there. So when I started developing that interest, and initially my idea was to go and work for a company that is involved into the sector, make a career there and bring a contribution. And I usually like to say to people, I'm definitely one of these guys saying that, all my life I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, the Elon Musk type, No, I'm actually more an accidental entrepreneur. Obviously, I love it. Yeah, I love it now. And I really can't see myself do anything else for sure. But I'm clearly an accidental one because I could see that, I wanted to do something. And also in my career, there was a lot of frustration. I was in a role for 7 years. I couldn't see the prospect. And also, I always knew that, I can do more than that, and then you come to a point you need to make a choice, right? It's either you conform to the situation, and then you live a peaceful life, but just be happy with that. Or if you want more, then you need to disrupt something, So, and that's the way I actually went to. And because of that image, I really wanted to make that change. And and I had to work my way there. So, that's a little bit how things came together.
Like you say, an accidental entrepreneur. You are already running a full-blown company, renewable, in Africa. For everyone that is connecting with us or will be watching this video, my guest tonight is actually Tony Tiyou, who is a CEO and a founder of a company called Renewables in Africa. And we're having a conversation about him and his company. So how did that, how did you start building the passion? Because, from attending the interview, the conference, to, building the passion to
be honest,
educating yourself and building a company, that's a different,
Well, okay. It's you go in there step by step, right? So it's not as straightforward as that, as I mentioned. But to be honest, like I say, so that image really struck a chord with me, probably because I gotta let people understand that I grew up on the continent. I'm from Cameroon. Okay. I grew up there, and when I was there, obviously I could see that we needed some light, but I didn't realize.
And we still need light.
And we still need, but I didn't realize how bad it was actually. Yeah. It's when you get confronted and you get let's say the chance and the opportunity to travel to other places to see how things are, then you say, hang on a minute, there's something wrong there. And that image, that sort of gives you like a eagle eye. It's not even an eagle eye view, it's a satellite view. Right. So once you get in the satellite view, you then understand that, okay, that's a global picture. And you see then compare other places, like something wrong there, yeah? And then, but I know in the continent we have so many problems. You got problem everywhere, but clearly we recognize that we have some sizable problem there. We're very good sometimes we African to see the problem, complain about that, blame other people, and that's it. Whereas you're thinking, okay, you are actually complaining about what is that concretely that you do. If each of us doing a little something, clearly things will change. So, I really set myself that mission in to go and help solve this problem. So am I going to solve that by myself? Obviously not. Yeah. But I like to make sure that, when my time, my journey into this planet come to the end, I like to look back and say, yes, I can honestly say that I have made a contribution and I've deployed all the effort that I could to make sure that I can plug this gap, both for the continent but also for for the world actually, and you start digging into it, learning about that, and you really developing a passion. Like I say, I knew that's what I said. When people sometimes would see me, they would think that I've done a master in renewables. I would no. I come from a completely different industry. Yeah. Like I say, so I was definitely an automotive engineer, working more on calibration and engines. So it was very different. I knew nothing about power. So I had to. Okay, there was a little. With hindsight, I can say, okay, there were some skills that I developed in my previous career. For example, using engine, that is transferable. And the funny thing is, everything seems to be coming full circle now, because one of the few projects I was interested in when I was in automotive at the time was electric buses. Actually, that was back in the day.
Everybody want to go electric, yeah.
I almost got exactly. So I may be lucky there. So it's almost like I was always going to end up this side. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
interesting story. And again, if you're connecting with us, my guest tonight is Tony Tiyou, who is the CEO of a company called Renewables in Africa. So we're going to talk a little bit more about your company.
Yep.
What does your company do? How, which operation location you are. Do you operate in where you are in UK? Let me mention that to our people that are following us. You are in London, UK, and and I am in Dallas, Texas. So tell us a little bit more about the company and how do you operate?
Yeah, exactly. So you're absolutely right. So I'm based in the UK, although I operate a lot in the continent. In fact, the head office is there. Okay. But I have.
Where exactly?
So I'm in the UK in a town called Brentwood. It's not far from London. It's a suburb of London. You can call it that way. So, but my team, it's actually based in 3 countries. I have guys in Kenya, in Nigeria, and in Ghana, and I do regular travel because it was important for me to have the presence there. So a presence on the ground. So that is actually how we operate on at the team. But I don't know. You wanted to know about the company, so.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the company. So you said the headquarters, you have 2 branches at the moment in Africa. Mm-hmm. So Ghana, Kenya, and
Nigeria.
Okay. Yeah, tell us a little bit more now. How do you operate? You being based in UK, how you're running those branches?
Yeah. So I would say that's the beautiful thing of being in a day and age where technology plays a big role, right? So that's really helpful. Having said that, I do travel regularly.
Okay.
I do travel regularly, and by the way, I'm not excluding also relocating myself, but it's actually a process. Okay. Because people that are in business, they will know that there is obviously an objective that you have. There's also the reality, and you need to walk that path. I'll put it that way. Definitely. Bear in mind that also when you are an entrepreneur, especially like I say, so at my age in the 40s, so you also have a family.
Yes.
And then there is a whole lot of other consideration need to put in place. So you need to So because I think I have because I've married with 2 boys. In fact, soon to be 3. So that's exclusivity for you.
Congratulations. Thank you. You just brought a good point because most of the time, we're talking about relocating in Africa, and there's a lot of subject that's a different, topic we can talk about. But there is a lot that is involved when you've settled in Europe, you have family and everybody running a company, even relocating to Africa. It's something that take time and take a lot of preparation. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's one. And the other thing in my mind as well, the accidental entrepreneur that I am, always wanted to build a global organization.
Okay.
Who says global organization says that you have to also have presence in other places, certainly Europe and America. So that's very important. Bear in mind that in the job that I do, being close to investors is very important. And in our sector, where are the investors? They are more, not all of them, but a large majority are this side. So having that proximity with them as well, it's very, very, it's very useful. Because like I say, so, and this is one thing that I've learned. So especially when you decide to go, because there's one thing to run a business part-time, and there's another thing doing full-time. So when you're doing full-time as I am, you're gonna earn your living, to pay people that you employ, that I do, but also for yourself to feed to feed your family. Correct. So basically, that aspect of the business is very important. So you want to make sure as well that you're close to certain people that can help make things happen. So what I found, the reason as well, even when the time comes for me to relocate, it will be, I'll call it a partial relocation, in the sense that I still need to have a presence here, because those investors are here. And the people that I'm doing business with on the continent like the fact that I also have that proximity with the investors. So you can't completely lose that. Yeah, and like I say, so that's you gotta strike a fine balance. But that's why for me, I say I gotta build a business where I'm making a lot of money. That allow me to do that, and also give the comfortable life to my family, to have the opportunity maybe to move back and forth as they want. Because obviously I work a lot. I think I'm pretty much work 24/7. So on the back of that, you want to make sure that, as a payback, you give them a certain comfort in life. So that's what we do. Yeah, clearly for me, in my mind, suffer basically, no doubt about that. I'm here to build a global business. I think I'm extremely ambitious. A lot of ideas that I have in mind, but I know it's a step process.
It is a step process, like you said. If you're connecting with us, my guest tonight is Mr. Tony Tiyou, who is the CEO of a company called Renewables in Africa.
Yeah.
So the company started 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I recently started Hired Ministry, which is...
Congratulations, by the way. That's a new baby.
A self-promoting company, which I get to receive CEOs like yourself and people that have a message that they want to bring to our community. How do renewables in Africa operate? Do you reach out to your potential client? Do they come to you? What does that work?
Yeah.
And is it just in Africa or in Europe or America? How do you operate?
Yeah. So I think to better respond to that, it's good to understand exactly what is our purpose. How do we support people?
Correct. Yeah.
And it's very simple. So what I say, it came from the realization. I realized that in the sector, we have what I call the savior syndromes. I think you and I talked about it a little bit before, whereby I say that because we know we're in a virtuous industry, and we like to think, and which is true, by the way, that the product and service that we give to people are good for the environment, right? Yes. For the planet Earth. And a lot of people almost think that because of that, they are becoming lazy. They think that the product, because it's so good, it should sell itself. Big error. I usually say pretty much all the businesses, many of them are suffering from one thing. That's actually the biggest challenge that most of them have, is obscurity. Okay. If the people, you're looking to serve with your product or service don't know you exist, that's no point. I mean, you have the best kept secret. Yeah, exactly. You have no. So our job, that's where we come in. Our job, and we is to help those business, because for us, for the industry to grow, we need more companies to be successful in the sector, because also this thought people thinking also that they're not sure they can make money in the sector. So I'm here also to demonstrate you can make money. And to do that, I need to help those companies that are already there to make money. And to do that, to solve that issue that they have and say, hey, I can show you how, you can become more visible to the people that matter for you, meaning your target customers. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. And once I put you in front of your target customers, I also want to make sure that you will know how to close them, which is the second part of the equation. So if I get you in front of your customer, but you can't close them, you're doing the job for your competitor. That'll come and reap the benefits. So that's what we do. Yes. And we're doing that by providing this guy, a set of awareness packages, which are programs that we've developed that help them getting more visibility, more leads, and more sales. Yeah. And that's what we do. And all of that, it's to raise awareness about renewables energy in Africa and across the world. And the more renewables we have, the better as well we can solve that problem that I have identified that actually set me to this path, which is, closing the gap of electrification of Africa. And our vision is to make it happen by 2040.
2040, visibility, leads, and closing the sales. That's what renewables in Africa do. And I think we all need those services. We all need to be visible. We all need the lead. And we need to be closing them.
I think, thank you already. By the way, thank you for giving me the visibility today, right? So now, when you put me in front of my customer, so I can promise you, I'll close them.
I mean, if you're not closing them, and then like you said, you're doing the job for your competitors, because that's half of the job done.
Yeah, exactly. So because you will get the target customer aware of the problem. But if you're not good enough to close it, the guy will come. You've already done the job for him, like I said. So if it's sharp enough, then he reap the benefits. So that is So I think it's we really, really focus on, and the funny thing, not funny, I'll say this, what we actually showing to our customer or our client, basically what we're doing for them, we're actually doing for ourselves. We actually our first customer. This is exactly how we manage. And like I say, I know many people will say, hey, I see these guys pretty much all the time everywhere, and I've seen him somewhere, and I was like, okay, makes sense. How can I sell you a visibility program if I'm not even visible? It's as simple as that. I need to be credible to you. Imagine you never heard of me. All of a sudden, I jump in and say, I want to help you to be visible. You're going to be telling me, like, help yourself first.
and it's something which people are still falling for it, coming from Africa, we'll be like, there is a voodoo guy or a Mabu guy who say, hey, I'm going to give you money to start buying Mercedes, where he is on
he's on the bike. Say, show me a Mercedes first. Let me sit close to you. Then I would develop the desire to be like you. But for now, you can barely get yourself a car. You want to get me a Mercedes?
Can you imagine?
So it's having that credibility. That is what we've done to ourselves, and also going to be up and honest. So it's been a challenging situation at the beginning because like any business, you're going through an iteration process. You're doing a lot of people. You're constantly pivoting.
That's where I was gonna get to next. Challenges and dealing with the continent. You've been dealing with the continent. The diaspora. You have. Can you share with us? Give us a little bit on for some of us who haven't been able to
Yeah,
to
no,
do anything there
very
for some
pleased,
time. Yeah.
very pleased, very pleased. I remember when I started, one of my advisors, a very good friend of mine, still, was also telling me that because when I started, I was doing something in the UK, something in Africa, yeah. But I decided, okay, I needed to focus one place, because at least at the beginning, because otherwise you just too dispersed. And I must admit, although it made a bit more sense maybe to do something more in the UK because I was there. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the calling was just way too strong to choose Africa. That's really where, because that's really what set me into that path personally. Even if now we're now engaging with now some activities that we do in the UK, that's fine. But clearly, it was really Africa that was calling me. That's why I decided to focus into that. And my advisor was telling me at the time that it's difficult to be doing a business in Africa, being abroad. Probably through many circumstances. But I wanted to challenge that, because if you're an entrepreneur and you're just gonna take everything people tell you, even if it's friends, family, and go with that, you're never gonna be an entrepreneur.
You'll never do anything. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I said, no. I think for me, how can I find a way to do it? So when I started doing the business, it's interesting because initially, learning from my strength as an engineer, and obviously all the training courses I've done to develop the right skill, I was more focusing on developing projects and working with project developers, setting up projects in Africa. So that's what we were doing. The funny thing, I actually started in Botswana. Why Botswana? Because one of my best friends is from Botswana, and he set up a very successful business in Botswana. He's a very successful guy, my age, but very successful. And it's kind of it was my early mentor. So I went to Botswana, and I love that country, by the way. I love that. I've been there many times. And I wanted to start in Botswana. Why? Because I thought, okay, Botswana, small country in population, not size. Small country, barely a couple of million people, well-run country compared to many other African country. Yeah. So I was like the textbook or the business school would say, you do the pilot, you run it there, and I tell you can expand. That's again, it's true in many cases, but that's where reality come and bite back big time, because it didn't work out like that for me. Because I found that, Botswana was way too small as a market, and it wasn't necessarily the ideal market, because maybe now it's slightly changing, but at the time, it's a country run on diamond, a lot of coal as well. So basically, the economic equation for renewable, especially, didn't make sense in using renewables as power source. It didn't really make sense, and also people didn't really see the incentive was way too slow. And if you want to make a living, this is what I'm saying. If you do that as a hobby, that's fine. You can afford it. But if you do it as a living, and you can't see that you can develop the right, you can develop a revenue stream. So that's how I was forced early on to expand. When I say expand, is to look at other countries, faster than what I thought initially. I said, okay, let me just now looking at many countries, hoping that, okay, at least one country will pick up and at least I can balance things out like that. But then I came out to that situation. How can I be present in many countries, at the same time, with a little bit challenging? This is why my wife, she's actually one of my advisors. Okay. We had a discussion, and we both came to that conclusion that, maybe we can develop a blog, that's just deploy ourselves to see how people think. Okay. In fact, Renewables in Africa, that's how it started, or the media platform. Wow. We started as a blog, and we had lots of very positive response. And the blog was simply sharing news about renewables energy, because I realized when I was going on the ground to different projects, different countries, that at the time people didn't really have a proper understanding what renewables are about. Even now is the case, but now it's slightly better because obviously the awareness getting bigger. So people didn't have proper understanding. It was almost like people were thinking, if you want a solar plant, you go to a supermarket, you buy a solar plant, go and plug it. So it wasn't as simple, even if now you have plug and play solutions. But I could clearly see that there was some gap there. That's why I started putting on the blog, having some technical article explain to people literally what a solar panel is, how does it work, and a lot of reaction. And that's how all of a sudden, progressively, I started to, there's some interest there. And he allowed me, thanks to technology, to develop progressively, a presence in many countries. People, because now I'm confident saying, so a lot of people in many African countries know me actually. And I know that when I go sometimes to conference, people come and greet me. Hey, Tony. I was like, okay. I'm like, who are you? I say, yeah. And more and more I go to conferences or to different events. I have that. I didn't have that before, but also it comes also with consistency, right? So I can't tell you everything because we spend days and days here. But long story short, because this guy will see me in many places, LinkedIn, will see me as well on article, will see me here and there, and for me, we providing information, value, insights, really educating people. That's what we really understood. So the blog, that was the precursor of the media platform. And that's how we started developing ourselves. And just to jump as well very quickly, so from doing project development services, we went, because project developer, it's a whole skill set that you need to develop as well. It's not easy to develop if you don't know how to do it. But one of the challenges with that business model, which is also again a tip to people, that business model, it's a very challenging one, because for me to be a successful product developer, it's either you have strong backers, strong investors who can afford, who can obviously fund you, and you can then afford, because product development is very simple. You spend a lot of money developing a project, waiting to get to what we call financial close. When everything is set, everything is good, you go to construction, and the investor is on board. Now they will refund you. They will pay you what they call the development fees, what you've spent before. It's almost like real estate developers. The problem is to get a project to this stage in the continent. In general, it's challenging. In Africa, it's even slower. You can literally spend a month, if not years, developing a project, but you need to make your living in between. So either you have an investor that can help you to do that in multiple countries, or bear in mind there's only few projects in the year in Africa that actually get to financial close. It's either you have a patient capital with you, or it means that you have so many projects you're developing at the same time that you always will have one that will obviously get to the finish line, and for you to get enough money. Yeah. So essentially, as a developer, I realize that now that counts. I think we can't live on that. There's no proper revenue stream here. That's why we flip again. We say, okay, we came back to the base and say, okay, what do people know us for? They know us for the platform. They see me here and there. Say, hey, and we also realize that, okay, at the end of the day as well, people are struggling to get in front of their customers. They don't say, hey, why not, look at where our strength is and work on that, develop something around that. And about 2 years ago, we decided to pivot and to focus, more precisely on the media platform side. Okay, we have what we call spin-off services that are, let's say, a consequence of being a media platform, like for example doing some marketing side and also some trainings. But we say that is what we develop. And the funny thing is, since we flipped, becoming going back to our origins, being that media platform where their strength and like credibility also is. Yeah. So since we flipped, it's slightly easier for us to source project, because the more people know us, they bring us project. We don't even have to go and chase project now.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we're using other project to give that to our partners, and we co-develop them at time for them. We're never the main developer, because at the moment we can't do that just yet. But at some point in time, we'll be able to do it all by ourselves. But like I say, it's a step process. So that is how, like I say, you have the textbook in the business school that will tell you,
Hey.
do a small example, wait, that is good. You spend 2 years there, then you expand. And the reality of the sector and also of the ground that sometimes ask you to look at it from a different perspective and flip things upside down. That's the thing. So for me, the key, because I had one of a company we work with recently, because I had one of my video, I think it was last Sunday, I was talking about the importance of creating a brand, yeah? And the funny thing when I talk about that, people, again, would think that, I've done marketing studies and blah, blah. No! You can't get someone more technical than me. Like I said, just for people to know, I have 3 degrees in engineering. That's to tell you how much of an engineer I am. But I had to learn the language of business and understand, obviously, how do you get to sell what you have? Yeah. Bear in mind that if you're confident about your product, the product, once you sell it, will speak for itself. But first, you need to get in front of that guy or that girl that you want to reach out to. If you go, it is as simple as that. So, like I say, what do you think? Like people like Google, Apple, they still keep on doing this. Everybody know them.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you want to be the Google of your sector. The Apple of your area. That's what you want is when your ideal customer is out there shopping, you want that ideal customer to think about you first. Because when it comes to you first, you already develop like a competitive advantage. Because when it comes to you first, if you're not good at closing that guy, even if you don't close him immediately, he's still going to use it as a reference point. And he's still also always going to say to the other guy, show me how good you are compared to this guy. Yeah. And this is what, like I say, the day you buy something, it's not the day you started buying. It's just the day you closing the transaction. Wow. But the sale started, a long time ago when this guy started developing. Because there's what we call, like I say, forgot the term. Just to say that there's a gradual process for customer where they go, from cold to warm and to hot. There's a specific term for that, but I forgot. Not a problem. But that's just to say that is how thing went, and it's relatively simple as long as you understand how you work. And once
you understand how it works. Tony,
it's
been great talking to you this evening. But how do people get to connect with you? How we all need visibility, we all need leads, and we all need to be closing those sales.
Yeah.
How do we connect with you?
Yeah. So the easiest way I would say is obviously, you have our website, www.renewables-in-africa.
Which is now...
brilliant job. Yeah, excellent. Thanks for that. I think I'm really loving what you're doing for me today. And then, and beside that, so you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's there's only one Tony Tiyou, by the way, so you can't miss me. So
Tony Tiyou on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and latest, and you can also write to me, and it's simply Tony@renewablesinafrica.com. So I think if you're using that way, that's quite straightforward. And like I say, I like people as well to make sure that they connect to our YouTube, please. Go to YouTube, Renewables in Africa, you get us. Because because like I say, a lot of people asking for free videos. Yeah, obviously we have some services, we can't give everything for free otherwise. So I won't be able to do a good job for you, but we have a lot of free resources. Yeah, in our YouTube, you have more than, I think, literally 400 videos that we've done over the years. So I think I'll be surprised. If you're an investor, if you're a company, if you're a professional looking to jump into the sector, I'll be surprised if you don't see 1 or 2 videos that are not of interest for you. And like I say, I'm also, live pretty much 6 days out of 7, and soon it's going to be 7 out of 7. So
wow,
there is a lot of resources that we share with people out there. If you don't want to work with us, that's fine. No, not everybody will work with us. They should, by the way, but some will be resistant. At least you can already consume what we're sharing, and I'm absolutely certain you will learn 1 or 2 things, guarantee.
Tony, it's been a pleasure having you. and the wealth of information that's we received tonight. If you connecting with us, my guest was Tony Tiyou, who is the CEO of a company called Renewables in Africa. Tony, I'm gonna let you have the last word before we close this conversation. I don't call these interviews. I say, I receive my guests and we have a conversation. So, your last word before we finish this evening.
Thanks for that. I'm just going to finish up and say pretty much what I've said. People, don't suffer and struggle in isolation. Yeah, if you are already in the sector or you want to get involved in the sector, like I say, don't let obscurity be your obstacle. Yeah, make sure that you find a way to get in front of your customer. Like I say, so we definitely can help. We'll be happy to help. But even if you don't want me to help, at least take that message from me, find a way to get in front of them. You would see everything else will become easier once you find a way to be in front of them. And when you're in front of them, don't forget about the second part. You need to know now how to close them. So if people have that in mind, and whether you have a business or not, you're still a business. Even as an employee, you're a business. Yeah. So if you think like that, then what I said applies to you. Whether you're running a company that is incorporated or you're running as just yourself, being an employee, find a way, even for the guy who you want to employ you, to be visible. It's not about, people will say, it's not about what you know. And usually people will say it's about who you know. I would say, no, I want to go even further. It's about who knows you. So probably gonna finish that.
We're gonna finish on that word. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. My guest tonight was Tony Tiyou, who is the CEO and founder of the company called Renewables in Africa. Tony, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you, and we'll keep talking. But for the people that are be watching us, we say goodbye until next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kakombe. You hired.
I am hired. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.